for Vinny to. I think he's got problems with his computer at the moment, so I could hear him and see him, but I don't think he could hear me. He's back again. So let me just. Yeah. Let me just play the music, and I'll get Vinny on. See you soon. Good evening. I take it. Can you hear me now?
You not only can I hear you, you sound like a freaking dream.
That's the English accent, mate. That's what it is. How you doing? You all right?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on. I've heard about this show for years. It's cool to finally be on, and late and unshaven because I took a
You've
nap.
been on before?
I've just I've heard.
Been on before?
No, never been.
You've been on before, dude. You have. You've been on here before.
I loved it. It was the greatest experience of my life. It was. I had such a good time.
You forgot, didn't you?
I did. I do a lot of these. I'm so sorry. I remember you though. I've seen the thing before. I know that.
You can't mistake me, mate. There's only one of me. Only one of me.
You're beautiful.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you're hairy self. Yes, you are.
Oh, see, I thought it was 5:30 Eastern. I would have shaved. I would have cut all this gray out. I would have looked beautiful. Now it's this. I got this rugged Tennessee look. I need to back up. I'm so fucking.
You're welcome to have a Tennessee look. I only shaved this morning because I look like that as well, and I was like, I'm gonna have a shave because I look like a fox. So yeah. Welcome everybody on TikTok. For those of you, I still haven't been able to figure out how to put TikTok onto StreamYard, but this is Vinny.
Oh man,
known him for years. It's Vinny Vinyard, and the guy is an absolute legend. And what he hasn't done isn't worth naming. Director, actor, stuntman, wrestler, a bit of DJing, if I remember rightly, paranormal investigating, and ufology. And he always cracks us up with everything that he comes out with. So completely forgets that he's been on the show before, twice. But, hey, it's all good. Twice, you've been on twice over the years. You have. That's why I keep asking you back, because you're always a hit, and you're a friend. I don't know if you notice this, but we are friends.
Yeah. I need to send you like a flower basket or some chocolates or something. I'm a jerk. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it. We've got people here.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Willow, but I've got it. Josh might be coming on because he's been working right on the border of Canada and Wisconsin, and he's on his way back home. And Wayne is out at a posh dinner with his missus. I think they're making a baby. Not sure. But, hey, isn't nice? So, yeah. Anyway, first of all, I'm going to go straight into it. What do you reckon to all the UFO stuff that is going on at the moment? Because this is a UFO show.
Well, it's crazy. I just released a movie called Showdown in Secret City, and it's about AI and 4 filmmakers who basically get into a physical fight against AI that kind of turns into this robot. Now, it's based in a town called Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and it's right near. I'm about an hour away from Oak Ridge, and Oak Ridge has become a hotspot for UFOs, especially with all this stuff coming out. And doing research for this movie, it's unreal what I learned about the city of Oak Ridge. Now, a lot of people probably don't understand out of the United States, and probably not out of the region, but Oak Ridge is where they built the 2 bombs that they dropped on Hiroshima in World War II. And after that really weird Cold War era, there was a lot of stuff that goes on at Oak Ridge, and nobody really knows. It's like a modern day Pripyat or something. It's and some of the stuff that they talk about that happens out there has to do with UFOs. I know that when I did research and I went over there to film, it's kind of strange. There's parts that you can get into, really weird government buildings. A lot of it looks very Russian. And when you talk to the people that work out there, they don't know. They're compartmentalized. So all the conspiracy theories that people have about the government, a lot of it seems to be true. And I heard weaponized sharks. This doesn't have much to do with
really. See, I've heard all those rumors about weaponized sharks. I was like,
It's like Austin Powers. There is a building that we actually used an image of for the film. Building, and it was a building where they would keep gorillas, and they would basically just eradicate them with radiation to see what the effects were, which is pretty, macabre and gross and dark over there. Ran into a guy, and this is honest to God's truth. It sounds crazy. The security that they hire over in Oak Ridge is not like the fat guy that couldn't be a cop. It's like, hey, where are you going? You need to slow down. They don't hire security guys out there. They hire the top-notch dudes that they kind of make TV shows about, bodyguard type security guys that have major clearances. And them guys don't even know what the other guys are doing. So I had a guy who was a friend or is a friend, and he met this fella, and he goes, and they kind of got to talking. They were at a restaurant, and he goes, oh, you work security over at Oak Ridge, which plant, which building, And the guy was getting his Chinese takeout or whatnot. And he goes, yeah, I come from, I can't remember, somewhere else, California or something. And he goes, yeah, they hired me to defend against or secure the area against things that come out of portals. And my friend was like, what? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, oh, my order's here. Picks up his, Mugu guy pan and his little cheese sticks and left, and the guy was like, wait, he didn't see that guy for 6 months. And it was like driving him crazy. And he runs into him at like a shopping center again. He's like, hey, you were joking about the company, right? And the guy's like, oh no. He goes, no, I'm hired to defend what comes out of portals. And he tells this story. Now, this is a secondhand story. This is why he was hired. Apparently, in the United States, in Oak Ridge, scientists were screwing around trying to open up a portal. And they start to open up a portal. And they said what came out of the portal was unlike anything they've ever experienced in their lives. What came out of the portal was an ungodly noise that sounded like 1,000 hells exploding at once. They said it was something no human being has ever heard. And everybody, all the scientists and engineers, ran the hell out of the room because they thought they were about to destroy the world. And they flipped off. Cthulhu. Yeah. No telling if they open up something that went into a wormhole or a black hole or whatever they weren't supposed to do. And they flipped off the machine, and they were like, we have no idea what that was, what that sound was. And so we need to kind of protect. I don't know what a human man, what is a human man going to do against opening a portal to a black hole, 1,000, like you said, Frankenstein monsters coming out of a hole. But, something like Stephen King's The Mist. But doing research, I ran into that story, and this is another one that is crazy. I know it's not necessarily UFOs, but if we're opening up portals and messing with stuff, there could be aliens coming that way, not through spaceships, but there could be extraterrestrials that eventually slip through when we're doing something stupid.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I have a friend that works over there, and he is the guy that works in the most militarily secure place. I talked to a lot of security guards, a lot of technicians, a lot of engineers, security guards who work at different spots. And the thing that is so crazy is they're all compartmentalized, meaning they have no idea what the other people are doing. Because when I would say, friend X said this, I never heard of that. Friend Y said this. No, I never heard of that. And then I would tell them, I was just talking to friend Z. He said this. Probably. I don't know. I never heard of it. Nobody knows what each other sees. And they all work there. I know they work there. And you have to be a pretty sharp cookie and have a Q clearance and stuff to get over there. So you can't be just a lying moron. Or a conspiracy theorist or a nut job. The other one that is the most concerning is my friend that is pretty in the most secure place. He said 2 engineers were like, "Hey, you want to go shoot some dark matter into the wall?" And the other guy was like, "Yeah." Like they were just talking like, "Hey, you want to go downstairs and shoot some pool?" It was just like, "Yeah." And so they go in this other room and they got like a white partition and they got a laser or some beam, and the beam hits the partition on the other side. Dark matter starts to fall out of the back. They're over there looking at it. That's cool. Well, all of a sudden, the Hadron Super Collider over in Switzerland turns on and they do an experiment at the same time. In Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and he said he saw this. He saw the whole thing. The sky turns green. Not a cloud in the sky. The entire sky turns green, and it starts to rain. And everybody's like, what is happening? And they turn off the dark matter machine. The sky starts to clear up almost immediately. No more rain, blue skies. And they start calling around the labs around the world to see if there was anything that was going on congruently. And that's when they found out the Hadron Super Collider was doing an experiment. Now, none of that makes any sense to my stupid little brain, and I have no idea what they were doing, but that doesn't sound like something somebody would just make up. So if there is an alien... Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that say that Stranger Things was based on Oak Ridge, and then there's another one nearby called, it's in North Carolina. I can't remember. There is a weird base in a mountain over here. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds nutty, man. So yeah, if there are little green men running around, maybe they didn't come through the sky,
Well, there is a lot of theory out there that, with all because I get sent videos and clips and stuff throughout the week, and to be absolutely honest, I only put the ones that I'm like, ooh, about onto the wall, because 99% of them, bollocks, mate. But you get the odd one that you're like, oh, and yourself, when you start doing research and things and you go down all these rabbit holes, the theory out there is of the real ones, a good 75% of them are from here. It's under the crust and out from the ocean and things like that. It's a much smaller percentage that comes from out there, And what you've just described is because you're on about Project Montauk, because Project Montauk was what Stranger Things was based on, and the whole making the dark matter and the Hadron Collider turning on and everything. That's very similar to something else that I've heard, but I can't talk about that on here. But there's things been going on, and that's why the collider was switched off until next decade, isn't it? Because very strange things have been happening ever since that stopped. We were talking about it last week.
When they made the Hadron Super Collider, I was like, what are they doing? It worried me then. You know,
Well, they're making an even bigger one.
I know.
Which, you know, and do you remember back along sort of like the last 10 years, there was sounds of bangs, drills, explosions going in a circle all the way around North America. That's, from what I know, that is either to link up various bases and stuff, or they're doing their own great big, excuse my language, fuck off great big collider. Who knows?
Well, and then there's, I don't know if this is happening all over the world. I think it is, but the mysterious, I don't know if this is related or not, but the mysterious, what they would call the trumpets in the sky, where they would hear the trumpets. Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people, religious people, are like, because there's something in the Bible about trumpets in the sky, and nobody can really even explain scientifically what is happening. So we just are sitting down here going, man, that's another weird thing to.
Have you ever heard them?
I mean, just
I've
YouTube
heard them. I've heard them, and it's the most bizarre. I can see what I call them trumpets, but it kind of reminds me of, you know, when you drag like semi-wet fingers down sheet metal. It kind of reminds me of that, but on a massive scale.
What do you think it is?
Personally, I don't think it's a warning or anything of importance. I don't think it's anything like that. I think they're doing something that they shouldn't be bloody well doing, and it's kind of starting to try and rupture, and then they stop. And then that noise is a warning of it's going to go, and let's stop again, you know? I think that makes a bit more sense, and, you know?
There's no telling. I have no idea, man. I mean, to me, that makes, because you can't really pinpoint the origin of the sound, is what I heard. It's not like, oh, it's coming over from the west. It's almost like this encompassing thing is what I heard.
It's definitely coming from out there, but it's all over the world.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, what was the things we were talking about? Oh God, my brain's been so full of stuff that's been going on with all this. We were talking about something last week, something big that's coming. Oh yeah. The ancient Babylonian scrolls, they talk about the veil that's around the earth. Now, people talk about the firmament. Bugger off with your firmament stuff. And when you actually read the scrolls properly, they say it's not that. It's not a barrier. It's just something that stops them, i.e. Anunnaki, from watching us for the last X amount of years, thousands of years. And it's due to open, I think it's next year, and then they can see us and we can see them. But it's not meant to be a bad thing. It was put there so that we wouldn't be interfered with, to see how we evolve and this, that, and the other. And all I can say is, if that happens and Trump's still in power, and our idiot's still in power, they're going to come down and go, what the fuck? You know? They're just going to look at us and go, mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I hope they wait about 3 years then for that to come and check in on us. But yeah, it's crazy. I've heard things like that before, and part of it is exciting. You know, I always kind of thought talk like this was a little nutty, you know, but there was something that somebody told me once, and I was like, that is the most interesting thing I've ever heard. I might have said this before on your show, but we are the only creature on the planet that can't live on the planet.
That's right.
Meaning our skin burns under the sun. We can't live in the water. We have to have clothes. You don't see a bear walking around with a Who Farted t-shirt to keep himself from getting a little chilly, you know. Yeah. It's like we're kind of like a turd in the punch bowl out here, you know. We're a little exposed. We have to live in a house that we have to pay for. We can't have our jiggly bits flopping around. You know, we are totally frying under the sun. We can't even be in the sun.
There was scientific papers done, I think, about 10 years ago, and it studied the human genome, and it was exactly what you've just said, because I was talking about this with my missus last night, where they were comparing us against all known things that come from Earth, and our genome is not suited for this gravity, this climate, or this atmosphere. It's supposed to be, it's almost, but not quite. Our gravity is supposed to be like 0.00001 higher, and or denser, whatever you want to call it. And our atmosphere is supposed to be, it's the same thing, like minuscule 0.1 oxygen and this, that, and the other. And that's where, or the whole thing about looking back into the ancient scrolls, where they talk about, well, genetic manipulation, gene splicing. The Anunnaki took their essence, their DNA, and mixed it with the native hominid, which was, and then they made Homo erectus, I think it was, or Homo habilis, I can't remember which one. But it also states in the scrolls, when you read them, that it didn't just happen. They had so many mistakes and so many failed experiments. They'd have ones that were made with no organs. They had ones that couldn't procreate. That was the main thing, was they couldn't procreate, and they kept doing the gene splicing until they got them to procreate and make their own. But it's their DNA that comes from out there, mixed with whatever basically we used to shit in our hands and clap and go, oh, and then they mixed it with them. I say, hello, old bean, and then we get us now.
We that's where a lot of people think that's where the Rh negative blood comes from, that there's no species.
My late mum had that.
Well, you're lucky to be alive, in all seriousness, because it's very tough. My wife has Rh negative blood, and we had several. She was pregnant several times, and the human embryo that she created or whatever, she fought it, every one. So we have one daughter that made it, and she is tough as nails. You can throw her off a roof and she'll get up and keep running. But it's like the Rh negative blood thinks instead of a baby, it thinks it's a foreign.
That's right. It attacks it.
Yeah, and
my mom had it.
Yeah, and so there's no species on Earth besides, I think, a zebra and a horse or something that shares the Rh negative. And so if you go back to the Bible, I think the funny thing about the Bible is people always talk about, I don't know, 100 stories that are in the Bible, but there's so many weird things nobody talks about because people don't know what they're talking about. And if you kind of lean into it one way or the other, you're going to. If you lean into it one way or the other too much without the knowledge, you're just going to either lie or make stuff up. And there's a verse in there nobody talks about in Genesis where the sons of God came down and made love with the beautiful virgins. And it goes back to what you're talking about with the scrolls. It can make Rh negative blood. It could be a fairy tale. Who knows what that verse meant, but it's just thrown in there. I love how it's just thrown in there. Like, so these aliens came down and took all the hot chicks and they got them impregnated and they left. And it's like, so anyway, and then Enoch ate an apple and you're like, wait, go back to that. What were you talking about with the aliens coming down and having sex with the chicks now? Yeah. And, so who knows what any of that means, but it seems like that could be congruent with what you're talking about.
Well, the thing that gets me with the alien stuff now, when you look back into antiquity with especially Native Americans, now I listen to Native. I've got some friends who are, and you listen to what they say if it's passed down. You know that yourself. But they talk about the race of red-headed giants with double-rowed teeth and this, that, and the other that used to go off with their women and make huge babies, and then some of them were cannibals and this, that, and the other. But according to like a lot of the Native American legends, and not just that, but when you cross over into Asia, because there was a land bridge that used to go from North America to Asia, and that's how come the darker skin came across to the natives. But when you look at their legends, they talk about the red-headed giants with the double rows of teeth. And long story short, it's in so many different countries and different places, these red-headed giants with the double rows of teeth, and they all say that they were there before we were. So are they the original Anunnaki? Because there was a war. There was a war on here before we were made, where the Anunnaki rebelled and said, "We're not mining all your gold and shit. We're sick of doing it. You can make us somebody who can do it." And they went, all right, fine, to stop the war. And that was Enki and Enlil. And I think it was Enlil was the good one, wasn't it? But then when they made us, because he did so much to make us evolve and become higher than them and this, that, and the other, that Enki went, no, I don't like this. And there was another war. And they all went, fuck this, and buggered off. And then we were all left. But when you look into it, there's supposed to have been pyramid wars. And that was all to do with Enki and Enlil, and that was the two wars that they had, and it nearly wiped everybody off the earth. The Atlantis and all that sort of stuff are supposed to be the mega cities that were left by those before us, the precursors, which were the Anunnaki. And the only reason it went tits up was because they were linked. They only had a few, but it was all around the world. They're all linked. When one went boom, the others went, and that's why you got the flash frozen one in Antarctica and all these other ones. The Eye of the Sahara, I'm not sure about that. I don't think that was Atlantis, but I think it could have been one of them, and then if you just it's all out there for everybody to research. When you look at it and talk about it, and like you were saying, what's his name, who went up in the Bible, who went up in the spaceship, and they took his book out and went, no, you're not, we're not having that in there. You were just talking about him. I'm shit remembering names.
Elijah.
No, he went. He never came back. He went up in the spaceship. They showed him Earth. He described it exactly as it was in the spaceship. It was one of the books that was left out of the Bible, the book of
Enoch.
That's it. Yeah, the book of Enoch. He talks about the Earth. He talks about being in a ship, and he doesn't say it's a chariot of the god. He said it's some sort of vessel, and that it has its own power, that is flames, and it comes up into the air. And he talks about it coming back, and the wall that he was looking at went see-through, and he could see the Earth, and he described the Earth. But I think, if I remember rightly, there was something off about the moon when he described it. It wasn't quite right. The moon that we see wasn't the one that he described. So that's which I found very strange. But he just back then, like nearly 3,000, 4,000 years ago, how the f are you going to be able to describe what the Earth looks like from, thank you, Noreen, from space, if we haven't got the means to get that? When you look at the Nazca lines and all that sort of stuff, when you look at the mountains that have been sheared, and you can see they've been sheared, the tips have been taken off and flattened for things to land, how? We didn't have technology to do it. And all these out-of-place artifacts that are now appearing. Depleted uranium, 1.5 million years old. You can only get it through a man-made process. You can't. It's not natural. You don't get it in nature. How the fuck is that there from 1.5 million years ago? We're not the first ones here. We are not the first ones here. We won't be the last ones here. But there's been 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, Hi, Nikki. Hi, everybody else. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who don't know, we have got my... guest here and a fellow nut job, hope you don't mind me saying that, Vinny Vineyard. He used to be a wrestler. I used to teach. I think he has too. And now he make.
I lost you there. Did your sound go out or something like that?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I heard you say pro wrestler. That's the last thing I heard.
I said, I used to teach kickboxing. You used to do the wrestling. I said, I think we've been either punched in the head or dropped in the head too many times. Do you want to give your movie plug and where they can watch it?
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, I made a movie. It's a horror comedy or sci-fi horror comedy called Showdown in Secret City, and it's about 4 filmmakers frustrated with AI. They basically are told by a movie executive that they need to make a movie with the help of an AI because they've released a bunch of bombs in a row, and the AI is based out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which we're talking about today because there's a lot of weird stuff happening in Oak Ridge. But and it becomes this anthropomorphic kind of talking robot with a personality called Fritz, and there's a big to do after it releases. We in the movie we do release an AI generated movie that becomes the #1 movie in the world, and the human filmmakers are like, I hate that. Now, I don't have nothing against AI when in the world of science and stuff like that, but when it comes to art and movies and music and stuff like that, it's been, I was a professional musician for over 15 years, and I was playing today and irritated everybody because I'm a bass player. At least they don't live with a drummer. That would be the worst. But anyway, I don't like AI in art. I think that's what we're here to do, is to create. I'm not a big AI guy, but anyway, the movie's called Showdown in Secret City. It just won yesterday 11 awards in the Paris, France Film Festival, which it's getting pretty good reviews. And you can watch it. You can go to our website and buy the DVD or Blu-ray, or there's a service called Pick Relay, or it's called Relay, but you go to pickrelay.com and it's on there, and it will be on like Amazon and Tubi soon. So
if you drop us the link if you drop me the link in the chat, I will put it up onto all the platforms that this goes out on for you.
Okay.
I want to have a look at it as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. It's really funny. Even though it's ridiculous, there's boobs in it. There's a lot of F words. It's a campy thing with robots and stuff like that. But my movies sometimes are like a polemic. Like I need to, I'm preaching. Yeah, I'm preaching a little bit, even though it's funny. Yeah.
Well, if ever you need a British accent for a bad guy, just give me a shout. All right.
You would have been very good as we had a robot in this, and we were going to do a British accent, but one of our girls thought it would be funny. Candy Thompson, she was in it. She thought she wanted to do a fake British accent in the movie. So there's a girl doing a fake British accent, and she's like, what's funny about her is it's kind of like she's so stupid she doesn't know any of the British jargon, so she just makes up like she's like, even a school chum with a clubbed wiener knows, and it's like, that's not something the British people say. Like she always is like coming up with stuff that it's like she's hitting the head, and she's like bangers and mash. It's like, that's not what a British person would say, but she's funny as hell in this thing. So. But yeah, we were going to have a British guy be the robot, but because it was World War II, we have a German scientist and stuff. So in the film, but yeah, next time, I
can do the Man in Black. I can do the German scientist, yeah, because sometimes we have the Fritz. He is the German Man in Black, and occasionally he comes on the show, yeah.
That's the name of our robot, is Fritz. So. Because I think that's it's kind of like it's a pun, right? Like when a computer's on the fritz, it's not working properly, and he's not quite working properly yet either. So.
I think one of the best songs I've ever heard, like for when Americans do British accents, because I can sort of do an American accent, but I've heard Jason Statham do an American accent in one of his prior movies, and I'm like, you sound like a wanker. It's when an American person has to say wanker. And the best one I ever heard say it was, do you remember Angel? David Boreanaz.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one that took over from Giles, who was the one that trained Buffy. I can't remember what his name was. He had glasses. But he turned around and called Angel a wanker once, and he's English, and he went, for God's sake, Angel, stop being such a wanker. And when he said it, I was like, you nailed it,
I think it's fun. It's always funny. You guys are taking all of our acting jobs, especially what's crazy is all the Southern spots being taken by. Because it's funny, I don't think American actors do the Southern accent well, because it's almost everybody wants to be like.
Mighty hot out there.
Yeah, they're trying to sound like Gone with the Wind, Scarlett O'Hara. They're all like, "Oh, I declare, it is so hard to wait." And it's like, dude, take it back a notch. It's like, and so the British people get like, they don't. You can be in the South, and you're not an idiot. What's crazy? There's a lot of smart people in the South, and a lot of inventors, and a lot of athletes, musicians. I mean, most of per capita, most of the authors, movie makers. Right, there's a lot of people that do amazing things, just not everybody's out in the front porch of their trailer kissing their sister, so I think the British folks,
like Somerset.
Yeah, so a lot of the British people, they do the Southern accent, but what's crazy, and this is what's weird, is a lot of people say the Southern accent is very close to what the original British accent was, because British a lot of the British, like everybody around me, I'm not from the South, but everybody around me is Irish. Everybody's Irish or Scottish.
I have an Irish passport.
Yeah, and people who come from Ireland and Scotland, they love Tennessee and the mountains and Georgia and North Carolina, and when a Southerner goes over to Ireland, they're blown away. They're like, "This looks like home." And what's crazy, this is another thing I think is funny. So we're talking about aliens and how this stuff interconnects, and you were talking about Native Americans and the land bridge in Asia. This is the other crazy thing, because of the migration to this particular area. British rockers, the invasion rockers, they wrote a lot, and I can say this, they write in this mode called Mixolydian, and a lot of Celtic music is Mixolydian. Well, what's weird, Southern rock, bluegrass, a lot of Southern music, they write in Mixolydian, which is not normal. Most of the time you write in a major scale or a minor scale, but not the Mixolydian mode. So that's kind of this connector. So everybody down here, my dad was from the South. He hears bagpipes. He just starts crying. I'm like, what are you doing? You're not, what are you going to go caber toss now? You're not Scottish. Why is that hitting you like that? Amazing Grace makes him on a bagpipes makes him cry, but there is that weird connection. You know what I mean? It's a world apart, but it's the same kind of bloodline.
I'll give you a connection to Ireland. We were talking about the people before us and stuff. Have you ever heard of the Tuatha De Danann?
No.
The Tuatha De Danann were the original kings of Ireland, the original people of Ireland, and they came through a doorway. They were called the Fae. And have you heard of an island off Ireland called High Brazil?
Yes.
Right. That's where they originally came to. They originally came to High Brazil, and then they came from off there through a doorway somewhere down in the south. But they're not quite sure whereabouts in the south it was. Some people say this, some people say, but they don't know. But every now and again, High Brazil gets seen, and whenever they get seen, you'll see the reports of the Fae and leprechauns and everything like that start to go back up over in Ireland. My late father, now you've got to remember, this guy was ex-Special Forces. He used to sit on the desk with Ian Fleming, the guy who wrote James Bond. He was on the same desk as him. He was ex-SAS, and he used to do stuff in the Belgian Congo and Zaire and all those sorts of things. I only found out 2 weeks before he died that he did this stuff. There's other things he did, but I can't say it on here.
Right.
But he believes in leprechauns. And he was a little tiny 5'7" Irishman who used to run through jungles with a bloody great big sniper rifle, no spotter, on his own, had grenades thrown at him and all this sort of stuff, had shrapnel in his knees from it. And he was one of the hardest bastards I've ever known. But this guy believed in leprechauns. And I'm not shitting you now. He's like, Jesus, yeah, the little people. Oh, fuck yeah, I've seen them. And it's like, you're right there, Dad. And this is the guy who went into a seminary to be a priest when he was 15, and he got thrown out of it because he objected to a priest trying to tickle his balls and beat the living shit out of him. And it took 7 priests to pull him off them. So, and they went, I don't think the priesthood is for you there, Donald. And he's like, I went in the army. So yeah,
good for him. But that, it's funny. We're in the middle of making 7 movies about the Appalachian South, and they're all like horror comedies and stuff, but they're about the legends and lore. And we're picking the ones that kind of hit close to home. Say what?
Some of those legends out there, the Appalachians, because they go on for miles, don't they? And all these people disappear and see things, and God knows what else. Tell us a bit about the Appalachians.
That's crazy. What I was going to say is a lot of people, there's a legend that there are little people in the Appalachian Mountains in the South, and I've never seen them, but I think I'm married to some. Everybody that I'm married to and my own children are about 5 feet tall, so they're tiny people that I'm attracted to, apparently. But I haven't made love with any of them or anything, but apparently some of those are out there. So it's kind of another bridge between Ireland and the mid-South in the United States. But
federal people out there, well, aren't you?
Yeah, well, 2024, I'm part of a paranormal team called Wrestling with Ghosts, which just got named the 6th best television show that's ever been filmed in the Smoky Mountains, which we'll take that. Not, but anyway, we'll talk about that later. Wrestling with Ghosts is our paranormal show. But the last episode we did, we went to a town called Proctor. And Proctor is the most remote city on the eastern seaboard in the United States. And there's no road, there's no train track to it. It's an abandoned town now. It was flooded out for a dam, but there still is like a small series of structures out there and a cemetery. You either have to hike 20 miles to it from the nearest trailhead, or you can take a boat and then hike 2 miles to the town. So I'm bringing that up to say that people were saying that there were you need to watch out for bears, you need to watch out for bobcats, this type of thing. But the other thing is, like, there are reports of feral human beings that have been seen in this region. We didn't see that night. We were looking for something called Spearfinger, which is a Native American legend. We had some evidence of that ish, maybe, that came through, that we came into something that was a spirit. The scariest thing about it, though, that happened that night, because we were literally, I mean, if something happened, and we're all getting older, and I was sitting there watching our stupid asses hike, because none of us are hikers or anything like that. We're all city people, you know. I was like, we're going to have to carry one of our friends out here if somebody twists an ankle. That was kind of in my head. But the scariest thing that happened by far is we got done with the investigation, got in our boat, went across the lake, got in our cars, kissed everybody, ate a bad pizza, and left. The scariest thing is that we missed Hurricane Helene by 12 hours. Now, over there, you may not have known what Hurricane Helene is. The thing that is strange is it would be like London being hit with a hurricane. This place has never seen wind, storms, or anything like this in 1,000 years. The water level rose 21 feet. 21 feet.
Jesus.
And so we would have been stuck. There's one house that has a basement and an attic and one story. We'd have climbed on top of that if the water came in. The water came up past the building. Some of us would have drowned. And there's we couldn't get in our cars. We didn't have our cars. We were out in the middle of nowhere. And so Hurricane Helene hit in 2024. We just barely missed it. And if we just were off by a day, we would have been screwed, man.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about the Spearfinger? Because for those guys out there that don't know, this is one of the more fascinating ones. Can you tell us a bit about Spearfinger there?
Yeah, I moved down south, and my tag team partner is a giant named Big Luke. He's almost 7 feet tall, and we were a pro wrestling tag team. And he's from Chicago. I'm from Baltimore. Now, we moved down south, and fall in love with the South. But Luke's been here longer than I have, and he always would talk about, hey, don't watch out, you can get Spearfinger. And I was like, what are you talking about, man? And it's a Cherokee legend of a in their religion. It's a golem woman who's a shapeshifter. She can kind of look like your grandmother. She can look like a hot chick you want to bang or whatever. And when you come off the trail, she would stab you in the liver or the side, and she had a long spear finger, and she would go in there and she would eat your liver. She had a raven friend she would sing to. And so this was one of the religious icons. And if you're a white guy, you're like, this is just make-believe boogeyman. They tell the kids, this whole story.
There's always something in it.
This whole story exists to keep the children from going off and running off of the white person or running off the trails or whatnot. So we decided there was a lot of deaths that were happening in the Smoky Mountains that were all natural, strange deaths, like the trees falling down, boulders crushing people falling off cliffs, and it was much higher than normal. And so we were like, let's just do an episode and see if Spearfinger has something to do with this, which it was just kind of like a laugh. It was a reason to go out and have an adventure. So I go out and I start talking to the folks in this on this reservation in a town called Cherokee. And I started asking, hey, what can you tell me about Spearfinger? And they were all, to my surprise, everybody looked at me like, why do you want to know? They were all guarded. And I was like, because I kind of thought they'd be like, oh, Spearfinger. My grandmother used to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. But they were all like, why do you want to know? And I was like, well, we're going to go out and try to find her. And they're like, why do you want to find her? And I was like, hey, we have a ghost show, it's a cryptid thing, it's a legend. We'd like to see what kind of fun we can have. And they would tell me eventually. And they told us where to find her, where she used to walk. And ironically, she used to walk on this place called the Norton Creek Trail, which is technically the most haunted trail in North Carolina. I don't know if there's like a ranking. I don't know how they vote in those things, but there's a lot of like native burial spots over there. And that's where we went to go find her. And we had a crazy, insane adventure over there. And a lot of crazy stuff happened. Some of the most fantastical evidence we ever caught for our show, Wrestling with Ghosts. And that's when we decided to start making movies. Is like, let's make a movie about Spearfinger. Because at the time, in 2020, you typed in Spearfinger, nothing popped up. After we did the investigation and the movie, there's tons of stuff that pops up. And what's really cool is we were amateur filmmakers back then. And so our girl, Candy, who's like part of Big and Funky, one of the biggest parts of Big and Funky, it's like, you're the girl that is the hottest, so you got to be Spearfinger. So she dresses up. She's a lead singer of a rock band, so she always does like a lot of goth stuff. So she dresses up in this she's part Native American too. So she dresses up in her Native American thing. And now what I'm kind of proud of is if you look for images of Spearfinger, there's a lot of younger sexualized images of Spearfinger, which is based off what she looks like in our movie. Most of the time, Spearfinger kind of looks like an old hag. But we kind of, now we have the perky tits version of Spearfinger, and that's because of us. Which, if I was going to get killed by a woman, I'd want her to look hot at least. I'd want to be killed by the hot one instead of the hag one. But this is something too. I don't know if I ever talked to you about this. One of the craziest things about, and you can look this up. One of the craziest things about our movies. This was so weird, man. So the first movie was about Spearfinger in Cherokee National Forest, and it's kind of like and our second movie was about a radio station at the end of the war. Like if the year 2000 actually was the apocalypse, what would happen? And it's kind of a story about my life. I moved down south. I got a job in Southern Gospel because I couldn't get a job at a real radio station. No offense, but it was like the only one that would hire me was like a Southern Gospel radio station. So the second movie is like, what if the return of Christ happens and the end of the world happens around the year 2000 at a Southern Gospel radio station? So that's our second movie. And our third movie was about a thing called the Boojum. And then we have our fourth movie is about Oak Ridge, which is the so anyway, I'm laying all that down because somebody through the internet approached me and they said, are you guys behind the So Joanna book? I'm like, what is the So Joanna book? And the So Joanna books is spelled S-O space and then the word Joanna, like the name, Joanna book. I'm like, I've never heard of this. The So Joanna book is like a traveler's guide from like the 50s. It was a published book, and it has pictures like, hey guys, it's like the 50s. It's like, hey, when you're on the road with your family, how about traveling down to the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee? And it would have like a picture and things for you to look at. And then also, hey, check out the Adirondacks in New York or whatever. It was a travel book. But in this particular book is a bunch of cryptic puzzles, a bunch of coordinates written out in hand, and words like wormwood, Spearfinger, this, that, and the other. And it was like a bunch of cryptic stuff in this weird book, and it was found. And you can look this up. What is the So Joanna book? And there's all these people on like Reddit and stuff going, who was this guy, and what does this stuff mean? And what was happening innocently from us, we were making these movies, And we were hitting all of these points that this guy was writing down. There's Spearfinger was written with coordinates where we were when we filmed the hike. There was a radio station tower with the coordinates that matched in the city that we were when we made WJHCAM, that movie. We did when we were doing the Bouja movie. There was a camp that was at the coordinates of where we made that movie, and we used the word. I can't even remember the word. There was a word we made in the movie. It's this guy's like, "Are you the guys behind the Sojourner book?" I'm like, "I never even heard of Sojourner book."
I've just made a note to look that up.
And so then we made a movie about Oak Ridge, and there was like a radio tower at the coordinates of where the national labs are that's in that with the term wormwood. And in our movie, innocuously, we used the word wormwood for one of the stations over there, one of the buildings over there. So I had a guy on we used to do a podcast too. I had a guy who video distorted his face and video distorted his voice. And he was telling me about the Sojourner. Now, why in the world? He was like, he was talking like this, like we were talking about where Jimmy Hoffa was buried or something. But it was, and he was telling me all about this thing, and I'm just sitting there going, I can't believe this is the craziest thing, is that the Sojourner book was hitting with a lot of the themes of our movies. I thought that was nuts.
What was the name of your latest movie again? Because I'm going to look it up.
Showdown in Secret City. Oak Ridge, Tennessee was known as the Secret City because they made it overnight, and nobody knew what was going on there.
Showdown in Secret City, right?
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's a funny movie, you guys. If you're in the mood, if you ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, it's like if they were on a caper to go kill a robot. That's kind of what the movie feels like. So
I'll have to let my youngest daughter know about that because she got me onto Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But yeah,
funny.
because I remember last time we had you on the show, you were doing the Spearfinger movie. You were writing them, or you just finished that. No, I think you're in the middle of doing it. Out of all the stuff you've done, and I'm on about like the paranormal, UFO-y, spooky, all that sort of stuff, what's been the most thing that you've done that's actually opened your eyes to a subject that you thought was bollocks? That something's happened and you've gone, oh shit.
Let me. That's a good question. I've been pretty open to the paranormal because I had personal experience. So,
UFO.
Yeah. I've seen something I think was a UFO, but I kind of always assumed, unidentified flying objects. That's pretty innocuous. You're not really saying that you subscribe to anything. There's things in the sky we don't know. Okay, that makes sense. The Spearfinger thing I thought was complete bullshit. And then when we kind of came across some of the stuff we found, it was like, it made me realize I don't believe there was a stone woman killing people on the trail. What I believe now is if enough people get together with an energy focused in a certain direction,
manifest it,
that things can manifest in a weird way. And we can all, and kind of manifest things. The thing that kind of blew me away the most is we drove all the way out into this flat area, the flat areas down in South Carolina that are crazy. And there was a ghost light down there called the Causey Light. And the ghost lights, to me, are the best paranormal evidence because two things can happen. You tell your atheist friends or your agnostic friends when it comes to paranormal stuff, and you're like, this thing grabbed my butt and it said it wanted to take me in the back, and then there was a thing with horns. They're going to say, you're crazy. What? You had your genes pulled a weird way. Or you're just lying to me. The thing about a ghost light that I love, and this is the thing that blew me away. We drove all the way out here. We were setting up our equipment. All of a sudden, this light, and we're talking about abandoned South Carolina. There's no houses. There's no height. We were all like, that must have been a headlight. We do the best investigation. Headlights look much different than this thing. And then it's like, it's one of two things. No matter what you believe, if you were just, I believe what I see, there's no God, there's no paranormal, there's no aliens, there's no cryptids, you guys are all idiots. Or if you're the guy that believe you got the tinfoil hat and you believe everything. The ghost light is great evidence because it's one of two things. It's either a paranormal ball of inexplicable energy and light and color, and it makes no logical sense why it's hovering there, or there's a crazy guy at 2 a.m. with a weird light that doesn't behave like any other light, and he's just out there about 100 yards away from us going, ooh, spooky light. What is creepier?
Police Academy, where they tie the torches to the two police dogs when they're out doing the litter picking. They're going, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like, to me, I think the agnostic atheist answer is scarier when there's a guy down there going, ha. I think that's scarier than the inexplicable ball of energy just appearing. That could be atmospheric, but it's a fun thing. So anyway, we saw the Causey light down in Causey, South Carolina.
Did you film it?
Oh yeah, we got an episode for Wrestling with Ghosts with it.
Nice one.
It's sometimes you'll film an episode. It's like it's not sexy television in a way, but it's I mean, we're all funny and cute and we have a good time, but it's like we're in the middle of nowhere filming a light. I don't know how, but to me, I think that's amazing because it's like that's documented evidence of something that happened that night.
Definitely. What you were just saying before we disappear, because I've just seen the time. And one of the things I was going to say, I think I've mentioned it to you before. These guys know anyway. I've always said I don't believe there's a singular God. I think there's a Parthenon. You got like a boss one with all the other ones that do different things. Because when you look at like the Greeks, the Romans, the Celtics, the Druids, all that stuff, they have the same Parthenon with the same ones doing the same things. And this singular secular God only came about when one of the pharaohs got delusions of grandeur and went, "You will call me the only God," and said, "Let's destroy all of the other ones." But bear that in mind for good guys, bad guys, angels, demons, Enki and Lil having a scrap over us because one got jealous that we were being made to be really, really good. And there was a scrap. You get the angels, you get the demons, the good guys, the bad guys. The only religious book that's ever been very close, I think, to stating the truth is the Mahabharata. And that talks about the Indian gods in the sky, in Vimanas, UFOs, spaceships, striking each other with energy weapons. There's spaces in all across Asia where it's been proved there's been thermonuclear strikes, but not from nuclear bombs, from a high energy weapon, and it's still irradiated to this day. And these things are like 20, 30,000, 40,000 years old. Going back to that, you put all the little different myths to things, and it's going to sound like I'm cracked, but I've always thought magic isn't what you think. Magic is a science or a technology that used to be here, and the ones that had it have gone, and they took that with them. And all we can remember from our racial memory from thousands of years ago was magic. They would go boom with a stick, and it would make things move or levitate or this, that, and the other. And then you look at the pyramids and on the cartouches, and you see the guys with the sticks moving the stones. And I think that all that stuff mixed together explains so much. We had things here before us. They're finding all these new things. It's all starting to come out. It's all starting to come to light. The Vatican knows far more about it than they make out. And now you've got all these UFO files being dumped by the US Boberman, and now they've given out the orders to these gagging orders. No, you can forget that. You can start talking about your shit. Something's coming. It's all coming together, and I think we're going to see either proof of past civilizations, entities, whatever you want. For God's sake, I hate TikTok. Or something's coming. And all the stuff that I've read so far has said something is coming, but it's the ones that used to be here before. And it's not coming in a bad way. It's coming to see how we've been getting on. What do you make of it?
I don't know if any of that is true or if it's all true, I do know from my experience and what I believe is, one thing I think is congruent with what you said from what I have discovered and what I believe is a lot of people have the wrong interpretation of heaven when it goes back to like a biblical book of like, we're all just going to go up there in our underwear and harps and we're on clouds and we're looking at little baby cherubs fly around. It says in the Bible, we're going to go judge angels on other planets. So that tells you, why are angels on other planets? Why do they need to be judged? And we're talking about the saints of God that kind of, I guess, pass the test or whatever. It's like, well, that tells you there's probably other people on other planets, and there's probably angels doing work on other planets. And I've always thought, even as a kid, what if our God, or the Abrahamic God of the Muslims and the Christians and the Jews, what if he was not the only God, but a God? And what if there was like a war? And this whole thing was a simulation, and he was trying to get his army together to go take on the powers of darkness. Maybe he's the bad guy, and he's got us all flipped upside down. But maybe he is the good guy. Maybe he's neutral, and whatever, And so
that's where you get angels and demons.
Yeah, I just think our concept of what is totally off, and we get. Nowadays, we're obsessed with TikTok and girls shaking their butts on the algorithm, and we're really insular, and we're looking down now. We're physically looking down and spiritually, and we've closed off. And what a great way to control a populace, because it's all dopamine hits and entertainment, and we're not connected. And going back to the Native American thing, there's something to taking your shoes off and touching grass and stepping in dog poop. It connects you and it opens you up. And when's the last time we went out and talked to our neighbor? Hell, when's the last time we talked to our brother or sister? It's a way to kind of keep us controlled for a little bit longer.
I completely agree. It's like a lot of other people.
And I think we're in a really, God, I'm from the 90s, man. You can tell, I was born in the 70s. It was going to be great, the future. And it's just been a fart noise so far. So, I'm just disappointed. There's homophobia so rampant, xenophobia so rampant, racism so rampant, misogyny. I really didn't think we were, as a society, the United States, Great Britain, the Five Eyes, all these countries that were kind of with, the Western countries. I thought we would be past all the crap, which we are in a lot of ways, but there's still work to be done. But I just thought, okay, now let's talk about outer space. Let's talk about everybody getting, figuring out a way that, everybody can be provided for and stuff. Instead, we're just like, that looking down at these damn things, looking at stupid content, it just drives me bonkers.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. There's too much of it, and it is a way to control the populace. And when you got to remember, the Bible is the greatest story ever told. B, it was put together about 800 to 1,000 years after the event. They took loads of books out and went, oh, God, no, they can't know that. They can't know that. They can't know that. And what all these different religions that go, my religion is better than yours, and this, that, and the other, they forget there was a big enclave where all the religions got together and said, right, what are we going to have in this book? And then religion, I'm sorry, I don't care if you're religious. If you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. But religion causes so many wars, so much division, because, well, you shouldn't be believing that because my one said you shouldn't. And, oh, well, what are you on about? Mine says you shouldn't be doing. It's silly. I don't care what color you are, sexuality you are, religion you are. You could be an alien. I don't care. If you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a dickhead, you're a dickhead. And you don't have to be of a different religion, different sex, different anything to be a dickhead or be a good person.
That's totally how Gen X was, man. I mean, it was politics was not on our minds all the time.
It's all about lining.
Yeah, it was just, are you cool? Let's start a band. I don't care what you look like. If you're handicapped, if you're 9 feet tall, if you're ugly, it's like, let's start a rock band. I mean, that's what we were about. We should. Yeah, I mean,
one of the things that I found was because of I got that. You can't see it properly, but it's C-3PO. Oh, there you go. A new one made that looks like a Star Wars comic book cover. But because I had this, and then growing up doing martial arts and stuff, because I used to get bullied, and then when I went on to teaching, when I've done seminars and I've demonstrated, like, because I do Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch, 3-inch, 6-inch, and I do all the nasty stuff, nerve strikes and things. And when I've done seminars and people have gone, and then they go, oh, by the way, this guy's got one hand and one leg, and you should see people go, what the fuck? But it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I've got this. All I'm doing is I'm just trying to pass my knowledge on to you guys. And again, you don't have to be a dickhead with it. Be a good guy with it. You know, it's the same with religion. You don't have to be a dickhead with it. Be a good guy with it. And it doesn't matter what you are, who you are, what you look like. You're either a nice guy or a dickhead. And it's like all these people that say they're experts in the paranormal. You're not. Did you die? Go over there for a few years and then come back and then go, actually, what happens over there is, no, you didn't. You just know a lot. Same with me with UFOs. I know a bit about it.
Yeah, I think paranormal people and probably people that watch UFOs, we're just like security guards. We're walking around.
That's who I am anyway.
You just sit there and you're like, did that happen? It's like,
yeah.
What happened? Are you supposed to be here? Okay. And you just write down, we heard this, we saw this. And we're just reporting. We're not experts. We're just observers. We're in the right place at the right time. And it's, I get a lot of people who are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're a paranormal investigator. I'm like, well, let me tell you, get a flashlight and an iPhone and go stand in a dark room and talk to nobody. Ta-da! You're a paranormal investigator. Congratulations. Yep. Here's your certificate. Yep. You know, there is no, you know, there's a lot of people who try to gatekeep and like, oh, you got to be an expert or be a medium or be a, you know, you don't have to be, man. I mean, and the ones that say all that stuff, I think a lot of times they sound crazier than anybody else.
The amount of mediums that I've met over the years, I can honestly say there's about 5 that I will say have got something. They've got a gift. They know exactly what they're doing. But the rest of them, cold read or talk bullshit.
I'm going to say something very controversial. If you're the girl on a paranormal team, that does not automatically mean you're a medium. I just every time I go to one, I'm like, and she's like, I'm the tech guy, I'm the leader, I'm the guy that owns the van, and she's like, I'm the medium, you know, and it's like, you're really an extra large, but we'll let you slide.
I say that shit to people. Now you're a bit of a large, aren't you?
Well, in America, it's extra large.
Do you know? I can remember. There was an investigation I went on. You know Wayne, my co-host. Mm-hmm. Well, there was me and him and my missus. And I won't say where it was, just in case this person is watching. But we were at this investigation, and there was this husband and wife there, and he was supposed to be the medium. And everybody's like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, whatever." You could see it was bollocks. And he's, I'm this and I'm that, I can hear this and that. And you fucking can't, mate. There's like a bird up there or something, you know? And then because nobody was taking him seriously, he decided he was going to throw a wobbly, pretend he was going to pass out, and he was doing this, that, and the other. And his missus is going, and obviously his missus believes him. You could see she genuinely believes him. Everybody else has read the room and just looked at him and gone, fuck off. You know, and he did all this big, and his missus like, I must take him out of here. Oh my God, I've got to take him out of there. I've got to give him some air. I've got to give him some water. And he's like, you know, and he's gone out of the room. We're all just like, dickhead, you know. And it's just, I've seen so much of it of people saying, oh, yeah, there's this and there's that. Like I've had, you know, I lost my stepson. Unfortunately, he took his own life. Week for his 15th, was it 50? Yeah, 15th birthday. It's myself who found him, and me and my son-in-law that did CPR and everything like that. But unfortunately, had to have machine switched off. I had, and this is what I will use the term charlatan for this, because it's a very, very good word and describes people that try and feed and prey off people who've lost loved ones, you know. And I can remember going to my first investigation after all this happened. And I had this woman come up to me and tell me all this bollocks about, oh, your son, I can see him there, about this big, playing on a climbing frame and this, that, and the other. And I just looked at her and went, right. And I just turned around and walked off. I didn't say a word. I just went, right. And she kept saying, no, he's got a message and he's this and he's this. And I'm like, the dude was almost 15. He was nearly as big as me. He could be a complete arsehole if he wanted to be. He could also be lovable. He was not a little lad. He was this and he was that. Stop talking shit. Fuck off. You know, and it's people, excuse my language, people like that, charlatans. Brilliant word. The Victorians really, I say he's a charlatan. Do you know that, Dickie? Yes, I'm going to put that in the book. Great expectations. And, you know, they invented so many words, but charlatan is one of the best ones for people like that. I do not like people like that prey on others just to make some money and make themselves look good.
I don't either, and that's why, you know, I ran for governor, and I've been pretty political, and I think in our country, and what you see it almost in every Western country right now is groups of people using patriotism and religion to fool the populace and for monetary gain. Yeah. And I like Jesus. I like God. It doesn't have a place in politics, I don't think. And I think when you hear that, it is a charlatan. That's a great word. And people fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. And they totally vote against their own best interests because they believe, you know, Lewis Sinclair was incorrectly attributed to this quote, but fascism will come to the United States wrapped in a flag, quoting and holding a Bible. And I think, you know, charlatan is a great word. And so in the book, it says you're supposed to go out and be as wise as wolves, and they're not, you know, or wise as serpents. It's been a long time since Sunday school, but it's supposed to be smart, and we're not. And I'm sorry about your son, and I'm sorry that person did that to you.
Oh no, I didn't say it for that. It's just it happened like 10 years ago. But it's just to show you that people come out of the woodwork and do that. You know?
It's despicable. To what was her? I'm a street hustler, man. I mean, I'm a pretty decent dude now, and I play Fortnite at night, you know. But back in the day, I was a pool hustler and out in the streets and shit. And I always look at what is that.
A long time ago.
And so I was like, what was her angle? Like, did she want to just get attention?
I don't know.
Does it make her? Yeah. Does it just make her feel good to think that she knows something? Like, oh, I've got this special power, aren't I special? I don't know what her motivation was, and it's despicable, to be honest.
I do think there's some genuine ones out there, and because as we all know, it's whatever, I can't remember which bit of the brain it is, but it does get calcified. You can decalcify it, and it'll open up like your third eye, and blah blah blah. And I believe in all that stuff. Took me a long time to. That was martial arts, and that was learning how to use chi and stuff, and it was that. Being taught by a little tiny English fella who wore a pork pie hat and smoked a pipe. And then when I've seen this guy, now I'm 100 kg and I've got a hell of a left hook. And this little tiny guy called Simon, he was like knee high to a grasshopper, and he could go ding like that, and I would go fuck off over the other side of the room, you know. And it was that. And then when I first learned to use it, and he showed me how to do it, and I hit a 6-foot filled punch bag, and I went bang. And you could hear like a second audible smack. You heard like that, and the bag went poof across the iron girders that used to be across there. And it was that, and I was like, because I always thought the chi was a load of bollocks, the force and all this stuff. And now I know it's not. And for me, I have to be shown things, and it actually is that for me to believe. But when you get people like that,
well, what can you do with the chi besides hit things? What else can you do?
I learned, do you know what black and white medicine is?
No.
Right. The dark side of it, the black medicine, I can visualize your internal organs as smoke, but they're different. It's different shades of smoke. So like from light to black, and I can, whichever one I want to put my energy in. So if I want to go and knack you up, I will visualize, see whichever organ, and because they're all different, like the heart is black, and it goes to the smaller ones. They go smaller, they go lighter, and then I'll get my energy. Yeah, I'll get my energy, and then I can go woof, and I can put that into yours, and you'll know about it. It will destroy it and it will screw you up. I've had it done to me in a demo by my 2 daughters, and they didn't even do it full pelt. They just did it gently. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. I had to go to the toilet immediately. I wasn't very well, and I wasn't very well for a while. And when I came back out of that, I was shaking like a leaf, and they were like, "Are you all right, Dad?" Oh my God, because I trained them both. I trained them how to use chi and everything. But what people forget, I have my meridians. I have a blockage up here somewhere, so I can only ever get it into there. Like now, I can get it into my hand, and I can put it into you. I can get rid of your headaches. I can take your chi away. I can put mine in as a good thing. You know, I can warm you up and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But
can you heal people with ailments or anything?
I think the only things I've ever managed to do is when people have been hurt, I've managed to do the whole grasshopper thing, and then I put it on and then I focus and I can get rid of the pain for a bit. You know, like if you got a migraine, if you put your feel in there, just in there, you'll feel like a pea-sized gland. If you find it, rub it gently, your migraine will disappear. And that's all the sort, because like I said, I know pressure points and pressure point fighting and the good side of it, which is white medicine, the bad side of it, which is black medicine. It's one of the forms of ninjutsu I used to do. You know, and it teaches you some very good smoke techniques. And it's really good for demos when you go, right, put your arm out, I'm going to use your muscles, and I'm going to pull your arm out. And I'm going to go, right, all I'm going to do is I'm going to focus my chi. I'm going to take yours out of here, and I'm going to use one finger, push your arm down. And when you do it, you can see them go, ah! You know? And it's really good.
Have you ever done the game? This is deconstruction of a podcast here. So this was something that I always thought was weird. You get somebody in a chair, and they're just sitting there, and you get 4 friends.
I know.
And you put the hands on the head, and then everybody takes their hands off. There's 8 hands, 4 people. Yeah. Boop, 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 boop. They do this, and you can lift the guy up into the air like he's a cheerleader at the football game, and lift him right up like he weighs 2 pounds. What is that? Do you know what that is?
I've had that done to me, and it is the weirdest thing. You can do it, and if you do it properly, you'll feel
energy going down.
I'm going to sound like, when I talk about this stuff, people don't believe me until I show them and I actually do it, and then they go, fuck. But you can feel the energy. It's like a warm, tingly. You can feel it go through, and you can feel it go through. And because that person is sitting bolt upright, because normally when you do your chi work, you have to be standing rooted, bolt upright, you know? Okay. And you can feel the energy going down and going through. And that's why, and it comes into your hands, and and you can just, you know? It worked.
I was in a band once, and we were recording in a strange house, and this is before everybody had phones, and so we're bored, right? We're doing, and so this is a youth group game. I learned it somewhere. I guess I was a counselor at a inner city school or something, and we used to do it with the kids down there. And so this guy's an atheist. He thinks everything's and he looks like we did that. And we shot up in the air, and he just sat there, and he goes, "I'm going to go to the bathroom. And if you guys start doing seances or raising people from the dead, you just hold that until I leave for the day, because I don't want to comprehend any of that stuff." But it is crazy, and it's like that's when the one thing. What's going on with my hair? The one thing that
don't know. Same as mine.
Gee, I used to have beautiful. It's getting old sucks, man. I used to have afros and stuff. So anyway, but everything is energy, and I think that goes back to the paranormal stuff too, and the manifestation, and also we have so much power inside of our bodies. What's crazy? What's crazy is I used to play World of Warcraft, and because of that, I always liked the monk. I always liked a guy who didn't have a weapon, and he was just fist fighting. But he could heal, and I always thought the chi stuff was interesting. Like so I always play monks and characters. So I always like the chi stuff. I always thought it was cool.
Chi works. It works. It does work. I always thought it was rubbish until I was shown properly what it can do, and I still thought Until I did it. And then when I did it, when I did that, I can still hear it and remember it. That first punch, because I used to hang these bags on iron girders by the chain. So if you hit it hard enough, it'd go. But this thing went right across the other side of the room.
Oh.
And you heard it. It proper went vroom, to the other side of the room. And I just stood there like.
Okay, so it's kind of like it was one of the thing like a snooker counter or whatever, right? Like a scorekeeper. Yeah. Okay.
And Simon's just there with his pipe back. There you go. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know? So, and then from then I learned, and I could do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. When I do the 1-inch punch, I use chi with that because I vary the power and the depth and everything like that when I show people, because I do that in a demonstration, and I always use the biggest person, and then you just bang, you know, and then when they go whee, and then they look at you like, and you're like, aha, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
It's good for you because you don't have like a pivot foot really either. You know, you've got the So do you think someone could learn how to remove serious ailments with that, like cancer and things? Do you think somebody could get to that level or heal people of really serious things?
I know there's some scrolls in Tibet that does describe how to do that and how you can do it. I also know, this is going back to Jesus, when he went on his travels, he went all through Asia, China, and he went up through India, up through Tibet, and he learned the hidden stuff. Not the bad stuff, but he learned the hidden. And that includes the healing. And I think he was a real human being, maybe a hybrid, I don't know, but he was a real human being, and he learned how to do this, and he knew how to do it.
I'm glad you said that. So after our show today, I'm going to get back in touch with you because I want to. One of the things that I've always wanted to do, this last movie that I did, Showdown at Secret City, it's about man versus machine. And it starts off with the tale of John Henry. Are you familiar with the American tale of John Henry? Okay, so John Henry is the guy that freed slave, uses the sledgehammers. He went up against a steam drill. He beat a steam drill. The steam drill is a new invention, trying to penetrate into a cave wall to make a railroad tunnel. He was faster. Man wins, but then he dies of a heart attack. So I opened the movie up with that because I've always liked that story, and I kind of put an occult slice on it or whatever, some flavor. But one thing I want to make when I get done with these horror comedies, I want to make a movie about what Jesus did between the age of 30 or 13 and 30, because I think that's the most fascinating part about his life, because there's mystery there. He doesn't sit there and go, "Hey, you know, when I was in Tibet and I did this," because there is record of a Jewish or a white man or a man that maybe wasn't white, but whatever, he was not from these places. He was a foreigner. Yeah, he was a tan fella. But he was but people would talk about it. At the same time, during that missing years, there's evidence of a guy going to a Buddhist temple. Yeah. And fascinating. And isn't that, to me, the people in the United States, I always tell them to travel, because the people that are screwed up and messed up and they're small-minded and they're racist and stuff like this, it's like, go to other places and learn. And then you realize everybody's kind of the same. And this place over here, they have the cure for hiccups. And this place over here has the best, steak. They prepare steak the best. And these people over here have the sexy women. And these people over here have the best music. And you learn, you take from these different cultures, and you're like, wow, man, the world is awesome, and people are awesome, and the differences are awesome. And so I think that's the cool thing about Christ, is I think he traveled. And I think when he came back, that may have been one reason everybody was like, whoa, because everybody's there with their own little lives. He comes back with this aura of like, I'm world traveled now. And I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
Well, he said, he wasn't trying to promote religion. He said, I'm telling you to be like me, as in what I do. I'm not telling you to be like me for religion or anything like that. I'm telling you to be nice to people, help people, do stuff like that. I'm not. And that was all he was trying to say. I've got an offer for you. If at any point you want to learn how to do a bit of chi work, I can teach you through this. I'll show you things where you can feel it yourself, and you can learn to use it yourself. but I can show you how to do it, focus it, and visualize it if you want, because that might help you understand a bit more with the stuff you want to do.
I would love to too. We're I'm a host of a show called Weird Roads on a channel called Asai TV. If we are ever in the United Kingdom, maybe we can hook up, and that'd be a great element to put on the show too.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's a travel show, so yeah.
But if you want me to teach you, come, we'll have a chat one night, and I'll show you how to do certain things. And if you want,
yeah, I think that would be. I'd love to be able to do that. That'd be awesome.
Okay, right, Vinny, I've got to have you on again, mate, because you are always an absolute treasure with the stuff that you've done, the stuff you come out with. I mean, I know stuff about all the weird and wonderful that goes on around the UK and Ireland and things like that. Like the shit you come out with is just like, what the fuck, dude? So you've got to come back on again. And the thing is, I actually believe you. I do genuinely believe. I've had people on there before. I go, like I'm going to say some people who think they're super soldiers and had their memory wiped, and I had to fuck off. It's
I mean, you can see everything I've ever done has been documented that I talk about. I mean, I know. Yeah.
But yeah, got to have you back on again if you would like to come back.
I'd love to. Let's do it. I'll be on time this time.
Right.
Freaking time zones. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. Well, I'm going to stop this for now. And as I say, I'll have a quick chat with you before you disappear. And I'll let you know a bit more about that, because it is. I'm just offering to do it. I don't want any money or anything like that. It's just I'm good at it. I'm good at it. So
cool.
Yeah. Anyway, right, guys. Thank you ever so much for joining us on every single platform that we are out on. Sorry for fiddling about with TikTok earlier. We had some dickheads on there, and I had to kick them out. Josh, I know you're trying to ring me, mate. I can't answer the phone. I'm really sorry. I'm just stopping now. So sorry, mate. So yeah, join us next week, Monday, 9:30. We're on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. We go out on there, and we've got loads of new followers now, and it's been brilliant. Vinny, can't wait to have you back, man. You are always welcome here on this show. So everybody else who's been interacting and talking to us and everything, and Anthony and everybody, and Irene and Noreen and everybody, we will see you next week. Thank you very much for joining us, and enjoy the new outro and the music that I made. So, Vinny, before we go, plug your film one last time.
Showdown in Secret City. It's on a service called Relay. Go to pickrelay.com. I'm also in another film just came out called Swipe Wrong, about a dating app. You guys would like that too. It's a horror rom-com. So check that out as well.
Be sure to do that. See you next week, guys. Vinny, see you in a bit.